What is up, lady? Oh my goodness, that is not me. You know what? Let's just bypass another camera here. That camera was not working, so we can go to you guys. Hi, what is up? It is your friend Raph Esparza coming to you with my friend Tim Freeman. Tim, we just had a draft here. What is your first impression from that incredibly chaotic, insane, fun, and confusing draft, sir?
This draft seems to be the one where the coaches, they all came with a pretty good strategy. It seemed like they all had guys that they were really wanting to get out of the draft. And then we saw some gamesmanship back and forth. I kind of felt like Varela and Canuto were like bidding each other up almost.
Yeah.
We saw New Hope kind of laying low on the side, not flexing much. And Team Mika ended up walking away with a pretty darn good team and almost pulled off maybe the biggest draft day coup of ever when they stole Juan Martinez from the New Hope Kings, because New Hope, they wanted Juan Martinez. They were trying to get him. And Bauer said, yo, I'll give $100 of my money. And then Jet was like, I'll get $500 of mine. And then we got into a New York Stock Exchange situation.
So, okay, like, explain to me from your perspective what was going on there, because to me, that's where things started getting confusing. At the very end of it, BMAC had to go out there. But full disclosure to everybody, you might have seen me in the background helping facilitate things. I want to be very clear about my role. I am in charge of this and the pre-show. I help as a helping hand on there. But at one point, Mr. Drysdale saw me when I was saying, oh, this is all fun and shenanigans. And they were like, you can't do a rebid. You can't refinance your things. And I was like, I mean, I guess you can, because they were letting it go at the time. And then Drysdale looked at me and he's like, you can't do that. And I was like, sir, I am not in charge here. Like, I hope this suit does not fool you. But like, I didn't say approved.
Right.
I'm just sitting here enjoying my thing. And before you know it, there was a meeting off to the side with the commissioner and Mr. Drysdale and Zoe. They all come back. And that's when they said, here's what's happening. We're redoing that draft. But from your perspective, what was that chaos like on commentary? Because that's where you were, sir.
Well, first thing, Drysdale saw Raph Esparza's name on the auto pen. So he just assumed it was you that was just pushing everything through automatically.
What a terrible use of an auto pen. Is just to be approved. Like, I really just like Juan. And I wanna hook him up with shenanigans. And then the worst part is, from my perspective, Tim, JJ is sitting there and I say, young man, this is all your fault. And you know what he did? I'll show you exactly what he did. He did this. As if to insinuate he was playing the devil of this. Yeah. And I looked and I go, well, it's not me who's pulling the strings here. It sounds like a fun shenanigan thing to do, but it was not me. But they did recall that, and I thought that was interesting. We also found out a lot of people can't do math.
Yeah, so Egg on the commentary had a spreadsheet and was tracking every time an athlete got bid on. Whatever they sold for, he would track that. He would know exactly how much the team had. So he was tracking this, and he had caught Varela earlier bidding over the amount that he would, have available. You have to have at least $1,000 minimum per roster spot, right? Which plays into it. So what was going on with Juan Martinez is that New Hope wanted Martinez. They sat to the side. They played hard to get for most of the athletes, but the ones they wanted, they piped up for. They got interested. And Mika started counter bidding them. And they were kind of going back and forth. And I think Mika wanted to make a run for Juan Martinez. One, because he's good. And two, I think he wanted to throw New Hope Kings off their game. Now, when Bowers threw the little juicy refinance plan in front of him and said, I'll pony up $100 and a Charizard Pokemon card, right? They bid in. And then Thompson was like, well, I'll do it too. Now, what's curious to me is, one, Robert Drysdale was totally good and happy when Thompson said, I'll give up 500. He's like, hey, let's refinance. I'm feeling it. But when he didn't get what he wanted, it turned into, hey, you can't do that. Now, I happen to agree with him. I think it's a little bit of a janky move because when you're putting a bid out in an auction, it's got to be good faith. You can't feel like later this guy that you bid on, somebody else is going to refinance or do something weird. So they threw it back. And you can't do that to your very first franchise team. It's just, you just can't do it. And so I don't know if that factored into it, but that definitely was in my mind. And they came back and said, hey, we're going to recall that. They didn't just recall that. They had to recall Brady. They had to replay a couple more draft rounds to even it out. And in the end, New Hope got who they wanted. But I thought Team Mika almost pulled off a gangster move in the draft by thwarting New Hope from what they wanted.
So you talked a little bit about some gamesmanship. I want to put a photo here that I captured because I did try to capture some moments. And, what I was trying to do here, Tim, was I was trying to get the most out of the bang for our buck.
Yeah.
Because I was busy running traffic at a certain point, one might say. And when you start to run traffic, you're preoccupied, but you're seeing stories unfold before you. Now, you mentioned some gamesmanship, right? What I was noticing over on the sidelines was that not only was there some gamesmanship between those teams, but I noticed there was some gamesmanship between two friends. And what ended up happening here is you saw, and I'll put up the photo here in just a second, but you saw something transpiring between friends Andy Varela and Hanato Canuto. And what ended up going there made me think, are they going to reevaluate their friendship? Because the way that Andy was bidding throughout the day was he would just stare at Canuto the whole time, like a huge power move. So literally every time they were making a deal, it was just him being like, you really going to do that? All right, 1,000 more, 100 more, 3,000 more, 300,000 more. Now, I want to direct your attention to the gentleman behind Varela to the left, if you would, of one Brady Branscombe. Andy brought his own mathematician with him. He had one job. On a scale of grades, how would you have graded his performance today, Tim?
Are we doing like the kind of math that we grew up with, like 1970s math, or are we doing new math? Because new math, they did all right, right? Old math, they failed miserably. And look, the numbers weren't that big.
The numbers weren't numbering was the issue, Tim.
Yeah. It's a little, look, a lot of jiu-jitsu guys can add two numbers together, but when we get into like running totals and having to like, now you have a cap, I might have to do some validation on my number, then the game goes off. You ask them their fight record, you ask them their weight, you ask them their how many subs they got, you ask them how many times they've been subbed. They can tell you those. They're Rain Man. I mean, they will tell you at the drop of a hat. You ask them to balance a checkbook, and, we got to bring Doge in to figure that out.
Tim, here's what he wrote. Because I asked him to show me some of his notes. On the next episode of the Bullpen, we will show you the full video that we did with this young man. But this was the young man in question and back with the tinted glasses. He put out this, and it says, I don't know if you could read that there. What does that say? No. Make sure you're on microphone.
Oh, sorry. Hanato is being a bidding terrorist, bidding out of
spite.
Who
Although
wrote that?
It kind of looks like Sprite.
Andy wrote that?
Yeah. No, Andy's mathematician wrote that.
Was he passing him notes, or is he just like taking notes?
I think he was taking notes. And then I will say to that young man, thank you for being clear on what kind of terrorist it is.
Yeah,
because if you had just left it without the kind of adjective there, then we might have been in a weird kind of escape here in a few seconds. I guess what I'm trying to say is this. I'm glad that Egg was paying attention, because if he wasn't, that could have gone very bad. But I want to tell you guys this. For future drafts, everybody should be charged to bring a person who does real math, not a training partner. Bring an actual math helper, because when they look at you and they go, I want this many, and you go, sir, that's not a number. You wrote the letter Q. We're getting into celebrity Jeopardy moments here.
Right.
And I don't know how to kindly tell them, can you resubmit that bid? And what ended up happening was at the very end, when Andy just wanted somebody, he goes, I have most.
Yeah.
He was trying to say, I have the most
Yeah,
money.
I
So he
have
goes, I
most.
have most. And they said, how much do you bid? He goes, I have most. And I thought, okay, well, he's not necessarily wrong here. So I guess he goes to his team. But I would tell you, we will have a full breakdown on the fashion that was here. But I want to point this out to the people who were talking to us. Tim, I did not know that these kids thought that they could try to roast us because they know they're getting roasted now. I went up to everybody, hi, nice to meet you. We're going to roast you on the show. Hi, nice to meet you. We're going to roast you on the show. And a lot of them were like trying to say stuff. So they like the suit, they like the tie, they liked all this for me. And then at the very end, they go, well, you're wearing Pumas, like your Puma
Ooh,
sneakers. And I
yeah.
was like, first of all, I'm unk status. Second of all, none of y'all carded equipment. This thing does not just happen overnight. We don't just come somewhere. Like, we set this up ourselves. So when that happened, I was like, we moved over 200 pounds worth of stuff. So y'all can chill.
These are prescription Pumas, by the way.
They're prescription Pumas. Plus, you're making a sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice as a host. My man's been injured here and has been struggling through like a champion right now.
Yeah, limping along. You know, I don't know if I have late onset gout or what's going on, but my left foot is out of control right now. But throbbing is a better way to put it. Just
facts,
not feeling great. But yeah, these guys, the young guys, are bringing a different energy now. It's really interesting, and there's some veterans too. I'm really interested in seeing how this plays out throughout the course of the season with the vets and the young guns.
Agreed. We did get a question here that said, so New Hope is an owner / sponsor. Yes, they are. And the reason you asked that in your follow-up here is you notice the other teams are just coaches' names. Yes, that is true. So technically, Drysdale is the coach for the New Hope Kings, and that is a mouthful, but he is the head coach for them. But you'll likely be calling them Team New Hope or Team Kings, like New Hope Kings, whatever it is you want to say. So it might be confusing, but just know that Drysdale is associated with those folks. And it was interesting to see them hang back for so much of today's strategy. And
yeah,
I have to say this, Tim. I'm not sure any one of these teams is out of disparity.
I think you're right. We were talking about on the commentary which one of these teams is a powerhouse. Does any of them stand out? Not really. I mean, I think New Hope stands out. Look, New Hope has a few things going for it. One, it's the first franchise in the PGF. What does that mean? It means you are going to see the New Hope Kings in the PGF from here on out. And as other teams sell, then you'll see those teams, and you'll see less of this is Team Canuto, this is Team this is Team that. So they have that energy going for them. Second, they got Jet Thompson. Thompson went from kind of just like, hey, watch this kid in season 6. He does some cool things to he's the number one big dog. He was auctioned. The first pick was auctioned off, and New Hope used it to get him. He's the number one guy. So they have those two things going.
Well, they got him and then sat back
the whole time.
Yeah.
So I think they have that going for them. Can they ride that through the whole season? I don't know. Jet can't fight every match.
But he will be fighting 14 other people.
Yeah.
But what is interesting about that is because you fight every other person that's not on your team, you do potentially pose a risk, because the weird part is Jet wasn't just putting people out of a day of competition.
Oh, he was breaking them.
He was breaking them to the point where I don't care if you are the toughest guy in the world. Somebody snaps your foot, you're maybe not being able to come back that next week. So that's if the assumption is he's able to repeat his success that he did the last time. We don't know that for sure, but continue.
Yeah, no, so I think you're right. I think the teams are all pretty balanced. They have a good mix of veterans and a good mix of young guys, and every team has some submission guys, and they have some stoppers, some guys that are hard to score on. So it's going to be interesting to see come week 3 if any of these teams have really distanced themselves from the rest of the pack.
So we're just going to kind of give you a quick photo here of the teams that we were able to snag. And when I say snag, we kind of had to rope them together like circus clowns a little bit because we didn't have full time to do full photos. So you're going to think to yourself, Raph, I really wish you had a good photo. And the answer is you have a photo. So this is going to be Andy Varella's team. You've got Christos. You've got Brady, who, by the way, was, I think, his first pick, right? for Andy's team,
Let's see, Andy. Yeah, Brady Branscombe,
and that's one of his teammates.
one of his guys.
Did he get him for $500?
3,500.
3,500.
Yeah,
I mean,
35.
that's a really cool thing to do. Mike John, the esteemed, and for a while it looked like it was Team 10th Planet.
Yeah,
but,
it did.
But Christos leveling that out. Christos made the case today. He had a stump speech where he was basically saying his case. He submitted all the guys. He went at the 205. He's appreciating these opportunities. And here it looks like he has an itch on his beard. So for all these people and more, and then you've still got the vet in Armin, who, I mean, I'm interested to see how he plays here. He also knows a lot of the games for like Chris Olivo, so interesting there. And then you have the Enigma champ himself.
Yeah.
Here. And this is Landon, correct?
Yeah, Landon Elmore.
Now, Landon also was interesting in the sense of how he was getting the people to play as well, because he was like, hey, man, listen, I just won this the other day, and I'm showing up with the championship belt. Interesting move, like almost a power move, one might say, in that particular case.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think because we see some 10P guys, there, you have a guy like Mike John on the team, despite how dirty of a dog he is, he can be a great team member. He knows how to play the team role. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to have issues with chemistry with him. And then you're going to have Landon Elmore and Christos Papadelos. We know that Landon and Christos know each other. They have a relationship. They're going to get along. Armin Bruni, another guy who's going to fit in well. So there's going to be good chemistry there. All of Varela's guys are training in Vegas at 10P Vegas. That's going to go a long way for them, assuming there's no like conflicts in the camp. Right?
So we've got that. But then let's take a moment here to kind of acknowledge another team and just kind of pointing out, okay, now for Mika's team, you've got JJ Bowers, who really got the people going.
Fired up.
He was essentially my humps, if you would. Like, what does it mean? I don't know, but it gets the people going, is what he did. He was getting people stirred up, and he wanted to go for a high amount. He did today. John Chandler, who ended up with a good amount of money.
Yeah, he did.
And was very pleased with it. Robert Backledge, like a very, very strong gymnast who some of the people were talking behind the scenes. They're like, hey, man, no offense, but he's going to be stronger than you. And I liked hearing that from some of the competitors. And then CJ Murdoch over on the side telling you he's got cats and a wife to pay for. And the nicest silent assassin is Zach Schneider, who I think is an interesting balance. So when you talk about new guys and older guys, like Zach is an esteemed vet for this world in competition and supported by the wonderfulness of that momentum for JJ Bowers, that momentum for John Chandler, and CJ and Rob as kind of those support members. Interesting squad. I want to bring this up because somebody put this in the chat and they said there's a massive target on Jet's back. You know what, though? I mean, Jet has just lived that life. I don't know that it's necessarily all that new to him.
Yeah.
But to any one of us, you maybe would feel the pressure. For Jet, he's all smiles, man. He was feeling $1 million out there today. I mean, did you get that sense?
There's been a target on Jeff's back since week 3 of season 6.
No kidding.
Like, everybody figured out this kid is legit, and they were conspiring together to figure out how he was getting everybody in the back. I saw several athletes from different teams.
Yep.
And then he went back there and showed them what he was doing. That's how much he's not really that concerned about having a target on him.
He's so young that it's another week for him that most of us would have had in high school competing. Except he's at the professional level.
Right.
So, like, this is a dude who entered the NBA draft not going to college ball. Straight to the pros. While we're talking about Jet Thompson, let's talk about this team, because I'll tell you, you can feel something in the air with New Hope coming in as this new sort of like sponsor, this new team ownership, the franchise themselves. Look at this team right now and start to tell me what your impressions are, because Jet might have the target on his back, but Anthony Goggiani has been asking for a target on his back. You've also got Anthony Molina Valdez. I'm so sorry.
Valdez. Don't Valdez. Make that mistake.
Hey, he let people know today he is not happy if you get his name wrong. And I'll be honest, he's been on my show, and I want to say we attribute it to Anthony Molina. But I'll be honest, I look to see where other ways he's been credited, and it's been a mix. but now we know. You did mention this. Thomas Sattler says Jet nearly beat Varela. Real dangerous. And there was talk, there was wonder if those two were going to conspire together to be an unbeatable team. Having said that, Jet didn't end up with a bad team at all. So let's look at this again. Dom Lobo. So Dom's case was that he has had a viral moment and he's been really, really good. And then the quiet disruptor, the person who was getting people to wonder if they could just refinance their homes, their chains, their Pokemon cards, with Juan right here to end the day. And I got to tell you, it's not a bad dress team either.
No, they look good. Travis showed up as the counsel to the team, and he threw a suit on and looked pretty good. Top to bottom, this is a good team, coached by Robert Drysdale, who's a fantastic coach, lots of experience, knows how to motivate his guys. New Hope pretty much got the guys that they wanted, the guys that they targeted. So they're at least going to be going into this season feeling good about it, feeling like they have a good, strong chance to be a front runner.
Well, you also have to figure, you wonder if they're looking at Jet to be their Ryan Aiken of the season, to lead, to try and score as many points as possible, and then to start killing it so that they can do what they need to do. So to Kevin and the good folks over at the New Hope Kings, congratulations. That's a very good-looking squad, and I'm intrigued to see what comes of it. And one thing I want to put in Anthony's corner, Anthony has also been somebody who's gone through the trials process and did well. He was a qualifier winner. So you have this wide scope of perspectives and talent. And if you're on this team, what's interesting is you won't see Anthony go up against Jet Thompson.
Yeah,
you won't see Anthony going up against Molina there, Valdez. You're not going to see him going up against Juan. You're not going to see him going up against Dom Lobo. Does that mean some of these guys, one or two of them, also make it into the finale week as well? So that to me is an interesting math equation that I want to look at here. If Jet Thompson is truly that number one pick and really acts as such throughout.
Yeah, I think he is. And, I think teams are going to try to figure out a way to negate him. But there's other guys on that team that can score, and they're probably going to be the guys that are going to break out.
So let's get to this last team, which was Team Canuto. So I had the pleasure of seeing these guys in our room. So where we're broadcasting now, they were commandeering this as their meeting area. Look at this team. You've already got Jordan Worth, who trains here. Canuto is housed here. You've got Chris Olivo, who's housed here. You've got a EBI champ, a combat champ in Matt Mash. You've got Rafael Ferreira, who, talk about getting people riled. That dude made his case today. And Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but what was it that he claimed in the middle of the broadcast here today?
I'm trying to remember exactly.
Oh, I'll tell you what he said, in case you don't remember. That man got on the microphone and said, "I'll beat anybody in this room," and that got people talking to him.
Yeah, it did. You're right. He did. And he's 17 years old. He also said he doesn't need the money. He's well off. His mom is sitting in the crowd, and she's just like, "No, mijo, no. We need the money, son. We're not well off. I'm paying your way here because you live in my house."
Listen, bro. You know what? If his parents are paying his way, he is well off, but she's not wrong. We were trying to tell these kids in the pre-show, like, hey, get your worth. And
I'd do it for free. No,
you wouldn't, kid. Boo, boo, indeed. I just want to point out this last thing, though. Olivo's been positioning himself as the heel. I think he's got an apt competitor in Anthony Goggiani. I think the two of them are going to be major rivals throughout the year.
Yeah, and I think Goggiani has a very, I don't really care what you say about me kind of way. I'll make fun of myself. I don't know if Chris has that same energy. I think Chris is he's got a look, he's got a style. He comes in. He had a white fur coat on, which is a bold move in the summer in Las Vegas. Dolce & Gabbana glasses. He had the handbag. Look, this guy had more money and clothing on his body than what he got in the draft, right? He's basically going to have to use his draft money to pay for this,
right.
Take these items.
Well, the interest on all that stuff alone.
He's going to have to finish his pay-now payments to get past it. But it is a good team. It's a little bit like a misfit team, a little bit, I think so. But Canuto's a pretty wily coach, and he's pretty wild, and he's got some guys with a real wild style that I think can really build a team together, and he can capitalize on that. I think having Matt Mash Jordan Worth and Rafael Ferreira on the same team like, man, if you're the opposing team, that's 3 guys that you got to go up against. You don't know what they're going to do any match ever. They could do something wild at any moment.
I'm not sure what to make of this team. You mentioned a ragtag kind of team here. I'm interested because it seems like a group of mercenaries that got pulled together to do one heist, and they may or may not implode themselves, because what I'm seeing here, though, is Canuto. I mean, talk about somebody who was a good spirit. By the way, I want to make a little known statement. Nobody else can do this. So I got word middle of the broadcast, early part of the broadcast. I got word that Canuto's phone didn't work, but a pal came through. This kid's is called a brick. Always carry one with you. If you're a coach and you need to do math and you didn't bring somebody with you and you need to use your phone, you need one of these to recharge your phone. So my man showed up like an amateur being like, oh, no, I don't know.
Who has USB-C?
What? Oh, my God. Did somebody have a charger? And I was like, I do. And Andy Varela goes, you traitor. I can't believe that you did this to me.
I can't believe you did.
How could you do this to me, Ralph? I thought that we were friends. And I go, I am friends. I'm friends with everybody. And so when they started getting down to it, I was like, sorry, Canuto, it's going to be money. And he's like, what do you mean? I go, it's going to be $100 to get this charger right now.
Yeah.
So in lieu of payment, if you see somebody passing his guard that doesn't look like I would normally pass guard, it has nothing to do with the money. I just happen to be much better than him that day. Just remember that.
Okay? Cut that one up, yeah.
Just saying, because that dude knows what happens now when I show up. I'm not going to get turned away at an open mat. Let's put it this way. The next time I go visit them at Hybrid Jiu-Jitsu here in Vegas.
You're welcome.
Now I'm going to be like, oh, I'm sorry. Are we open a little bit later here today, friends? Nonetheless, Canuto was good people. You know what it was? As competitive and everybody jockeying for position, everybody was in great spirits.
Yeah,
everybody was in a really good mood, and it's playful and it's fun. And yes, there were a couple moments where everybody's getting like a little heated in terms of wanting the best team. But I felt like a good sense of competition, which is everybody seems to be having a good time, which is a great place to be for a tournament that is incredibly competitive. So, Tim, before we sign out of here, do you have any things that you want to plug? Tell the people where they can find us, sir.
You can find me on Inside BJJ, all your favorite social media platforms. We'll be covering the PGF Season 8, doing bullpen shows, pre-shows on Tuesday nights.
Yes.
So make
Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays.
I don't know if nights. It might be early.
Right. It might be early in the day. That's true. Make sure you check that out. We'll still be doing a Friday installment, right? Yes. So we're going to have 2 shows coming up each week.
And are we doing one this Friday?
I mean, we should.
I
think we absolutely should.
The real question is, does Tim live? Like, my man has to get back to the Nashvilles, and then we'll reassess. But it does look like we will have a show on Friday. It's just we're gonna take a moment to be travelers. You know, I'm gonna get back to LA. But Tim, you did a great job on the commentary. I could hear you with Egg. It looked like you, him, and Anik had a great time on there.
Yeah, it was pretty smooth. It went pretty well. And the one thing about Egg is, if a question comes out that involves a number or a stat or a date or a detail or something that you're not going to get right, here's the trick. You shut your mouth. Wait for 2 seconds, and then Egg provides the information. He's fantastic.
You say that as if we didn't get some kind of supporting evidence to show said look. But before we start to sign off here, I just wanted to get you guys with the photo I snagged.
Is this when Varela went over?
There's a few moments I think he made this face, but this one in particular I think was when somebody was asking if they had that coin, and somebody was putting that this man is the most hated man in the adult chat for the groups. And I was like, well, it does make me laugh that that's the look of the guy who's trying to figure out yes or no. And I did see a night here. It says, Thomas Sattler says, get me on the mic, yo. I'll zoom in with the most educated jiu-jitsu in the game, dog. I don't know about that, Thomas. You got to prove that to me. Because I got to be honest with you. I have interviewed the best in the business, and I haven't heard you. So you have to prove it to me, because here's the problem. You will not sound more educated than me on a broadcast. But I welcome the opportunity for you to apply, because here's the thing. Talking about jiu-jitsu is one thing. Being a broadcaster, much higher level. So get on our level, and then we can maybe talk. Thank you for that. Let me go ahead and close things up here, you guys. I want to tell you, thank you so much for bringing us on to this broadcast. We're so happy to do this. We got to get out of here in a second, so we got to literally get shop, get wrecked. But we want to thank all the helpers, all the people on the cameras, all the people behind the microphones, the dream, Stephen Aiken, who did a great job as your auditor, if you would. The man who was basically getting those auction off on that. We also want to thank Egg, Keelan, Anik, Tim, BMAC, Alex Wendling, who was killing it on the game, Michael Plaster. The names go on and on and on. And if I forgot anybody, my apologies. But I just want to say this has been a lot of fun. You will see us back here in person again for the actual series finale of PGF Season 8. So at the season finale, you will see us back here in person, but we'll be doing a lot of remote work, and you'll see your boy here, Rafa Esparza, coming in on select Wednesdays. So I'll be making some live appearances out this way, but you can catch us Tuesdays and on Fridays here at the Bullpen. Find us at the Grappling Hour. Find us at Inside BJJ. And ladies and gents, thank you so much for watching. It has been a fun day. If you didn't catch the draft, go back and watch it right now. It is on demand for y'all on PGF World. We love you guys. We cannot wait to see you back very soon. But that's going to do it for us here, you guys. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.